bury the proper funeral, what's all included? I know embalming, that's humane. We got the embalm. What's all included?
Well, they receive, from my understanding, we are notified by different entities, whether it's through the coroner or the local hospitals that may have unclaimed bodies, that the family members do not come and claim the body of the deceased person. So then they notify the coroner's office, and then the coroner will then in turn contact the chancery clerk or county administrator for board's approval for a proper burial. And so what the burial includes is a casket and the burial on county grounds.
Well, I asked that question because certain funeral homes or some funeral homes, they raise the price so high until the family can't get the body. And then at that point, the family tried to get the body and can't get it. And so do we check to make sure these are not some of the circumstances where these funeral homes have raised the price so high that the family can't get it, and make sure that there's absolutely no families for these bodies?
They usually work through the coroner's office. The coroner's office will do a diligent search to make sure everything has been done possible to get the funerals paid for. They'll even work with families who say, we don't have half, only have half of it. They will see if they can get somebody to donate. I mean, we've all worked together.
The coroner's office?
Yes.
Okay, because I know an elder lady been in a funeral home almost 5 to 7 months. Family trying to get the body.
That's not
it was moved and we can't let it go. And that's
very common.
That's not uncommon.
That's inhumane treatment.
And we're finding that's a growing issue in all counties. That people cannot afford burial, therefore feeling they had no choice but to allow the county to cover the cost, and that has been an issue.
Is there in the state law to cover this?
Yes, sir. They have to be buried. If they are located in Hinds County, then we are obligated to provide a burial.
You know what I'm saying? Is there in the state law that said that these funeral homes can hold these bodies?
I'm not sure what the state law says with regard to
If it's not, I'm going to recommend some legislation from the county, since there's county law, so we got to bury these bodies, that these funeral homes can't just kidnap bodies until somebody, find money to pay for it.
There is a board that governs the funeral homes, and we have had to report certain funeral home owners to that board.
Okay, thank you.
And just also add that I don't believe the bodies are placed in a casket. I think they're placed in a pine box. And I see, and also they are buried at the funeral home. So I think the general public needs to know that information as well. They're not put in a public cemetery. They're not buried in a public cemetery. They are buried at the funeral home.
Okay, Mr. Stokes, we'll make sure that the proper authority gets with you. Make sure that you are aware of this entire process, because it has been a matter of contention for a while, because individuals are only buried with a number, and that's something that we feel like should be changed, so we will put you in touch with the proper authorities. Mrs. Davis, continue, please.
Okay,
we did carry.
This person was deceased in October.
Okay.
So we still just it took all that time.
Okay. As it relates to the motion for the unclaimed body, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is from Mr. Blake Wallace, Director of Hinds County Economic Development Authority.
Mr. Wallace.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, members. Just Blake Wallace, pleasure trying to get to meet you. This is a letter that we'll discuss over here. The first item that we have on the agenda, Mr. President, is a reimbursement from the Sonny McDonald bond issue for work completed on site planning. The combined amount is $1,627.25.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. Discussion?
Question.
Mr. Stokes?
Thank you. Mr. Wallace, kind of taking me through this procedure. I know that what we're trying to do is does this letter play to?
That's a separate item. This, the reimbursement item here is, we are preparing the industrial park for tenants to locate in it. And to do that, you have to go through a process where you can get a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers to start moving dirt around and things like that, so you don't affect wetlands and other things. And the reimbursement is, we have a bond issue that was done for the purpose of getting the Son McDonald Industrial Park to that point. So these are engineering fees associated with doing the site plans and working with the Army Corps of Engineers to get all of the appropriate permitting in place so that we can issue a contract to clear and grub the park and get it ready for occupancy for the areas that aren't ready. We do have one that already is ready, and that is going to pertain to this letter, but they're actually two separate items.
How many acres are we doing?
We have on the entire park, we have 460 plus acres out there, but all of that is not going to be developable because there's going to be about 12 to 14 acres that will be set aside for wetlands by the Corps that we won't be able to do any work in. There is a 65-acre parcel right now that has trees on it that we will need to clear, but it's also fairly close to some residences, so we're going to have to look at things going in there that wouldn't disrupt the neighborhood or anything like that. And then there's some hilly areas that we won't be able to utilize all the land, but we're going to cut them down to the point where we get the maximum acreage out of it. So we're going to wind up with about probably 350, maybe 325 acres total that would be able to actually be build something on it that we would sell to clients.
Okay, so we're paying today $1,600 to.
This is part of a contract that we have in place to get all of the site plan completed and to get the permitting we need from the Corps. And we're almost finished, so I apologize. I can't remember the exact amount of that contract, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 55,000, something like that. And we're right at the near the end of this phase.
Okay, but who is this check going to?
This check is going to go to one of these. We've already paid the invoices, and what you do is reimburse us for those. And you'll have 300, and it goes, all of them go to WEI-IMS2. It's a joint venture between Wagner Engineering and IMS.
Okay, so the check going to them?
It goes to them, yes. We've already cut it, no, we've already cut the checks and sent to them. You're going to send us a check to reimburse us for that.
Reimbursement of the block.
All right, could we do this? And just for my understanding, Mr. President, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Carr, you're the treasurer for the county, right?
Yes, sir.
Because it look like everybody got a checking account. Everybody, now, do you have a record of all checking accounts in Hinds County?
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about all checking accounts, whether it's their account, tax collector account, the tax assessor. Who has a central record of everybody's account?
Because they operate on a separate authority. They have their own accounts. We don't monitor their accounts.
Well,
so who monitors their account?
The board. You appoint a board. We report to our board of directors, and each year we have to submit an audit to the county as well.
The auditors will look at their accounts.
Then they report it to you?
Yes, sir. They report everything back to the board.
All right. So if I need to know something, I want to know the steps. Because if I need to know something about some accounts dealing with Hinds County, I'm coming to you.
You come to us, and we will point you in the right direction, or we'll get the information for you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions? All those in favor of?
What are we voting on now? I'm not voting for
Reimbursement.
The reimbursement.
Opposed to?
Abstain.
Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve reimbursement to Hinds County Economic Development Authority in the amount of $1,627.25 for invoice number LLC-037- and small CD, paid 2 separate checks on 12/15 in the amount of $1,278, and on 12/29 in the amount of $349.25 for the Sunny McDonald Park to be paid from the 1994 GO Bond Fund number 385 for engineering and architectural fees, paid to WEIMS2 LLC for site planning, including advertising, bidding, and/or construction engineering special services / environmental mitigation services.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Continue.
Okay, our second item is regarding the letter that we just handed you. We do have a project that we are submitting a proposal on. The proposal is for a 15-acre site out at Sunny McDonald Industrial Park. The project is highly confidential. I was able to talk with, I think maybe just a couple of the board prior to the holidays, and we did try to get everyone, but apparently maybe Mr. Stokes, the phone problem might have been an issue there. But basically what we've got to include in this RFP when we send it in are the commitments that the community is going to make in order to land the project. Okay, and as you know, we always do a financial analysis of every project and make a recommendation to you as to what we would do. And basically, we are recommending just our standard incentives that we usually do. And this letter would state that does state that if the company chooses our site, that we would extend a tax abatement of the general fund only for real and personal property, that we would extend the Freeport warehouse that we normally do as well, and then we would waive the fee for the construction permit. And in order to make the proposal complete and not get it kicked out, we just need to include this letter as part of that package. Now, we will discuss with you much further the details of the project, but because of the confidentiality of that, we need to kind of do that offline, and we'll be glad to do that. We'll catch up with everyone. And Mr. Stokes, we definitely would like to sit down with you because we have, with you being the new board member, we have several things that we would like to catch you up to speed on.
Who represents District 5 on your board?
I believe that would be Howard Ketchens and Leroy Walker. If I remember correctly, we'll verify that.
We can get you a list of who the representatives are.
Yeah, they're on our website.
And I'd be glad to talk with them, but I have major concern because people come to us in those neighborhoods and they're concerned what you're going to put over there. So I have to make a commitment to put somebody who lives in those neighborhoods. I think that's Wendell Road.
Actually, there is someone.
Who is it?
Suter Smith is an at-large member, and he has property in that neighborhood, and he sits on our board.
Well, let me do this, and let me say it up front. I've got to make a commitment to some people over there to make sure that their interests are protected.
Oh, sure, and we've done that as well.
And to make sure their interests are protected, whoever they tell me need to come on that board, I'm putting on that board.
Oh, we have nothing to do with that. Whoever you appoint to the board
I just want to make
sure it's your decision.
Because I won't be there enough, my staff won't be there enough, and I want to make sure that that's the only way I can have a win-win in this thing, that they'll put their person there to protect their interests. Thank you.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I just had a question. I know in many of the tax abatements, there's roads and bridges are not included, and I don't see from this letter whether it's...
No, it's none of the millages outside of the general fund millage is 25.59, and that's all that we are abating.
But it says except school taxes and any not abatable by statute, and it's silent as to the road and bridges.
Well, it says our policy. And our policy, see, 25.59 is only the general fund.
The total recommendation would be just to include the road and bridges to ensure that it's understood that the road and bridges are not included.
Okay, hang on a second. So let's get on the same sheet of music. Because it is not only saying that we aren't going to do roads and bridges, we aren't going to do ED,
So do you want to include general fund? Because as it reads now, I think it's ambiguous as to which villages are being excluded.
It says that it will grant a local property tax abatements 25.59 mils. That's saying we're only going to abate 25.59, which is general fund. I'm amenable to you doing this however it needs to read to make sure that it's only the general fund that we would be abating on the property taxes. You know, the Freeport does everything. But we'll defer to the attorney doing the letter in the final letter.
My only request is to just specify what would be general fund, because as you know, the millage changes each year.
Okay.
Well, that's why I wanted to put 25.59, because if it goes up next year, we do not want them to get the abatement on the increase.
Well, the board would have to ultimately decide the length of the abatement, but we generally do 10 years now.
We do 10 years when we have a contract for clawbacks if they fall below the requirements that we set.
You don't do 5 years, you come back at 5 and 35 more?
We used to, but it was creating a real paper trail that was kind of getting unmanageable. So
Okay.
now we do it with clawbacks rather than the 5 and 5.
Let's just go ahead and we'll carry the motion and we'll make it contingent upon the board attorney's approval.
Right.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve, is this coming from the board or from EDA?
From the board. Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Resolved to approve a commitment letter from the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for Project Metal to include and grant a local property tax abatement of 25.59 mils, general fund mills, and other.
No, there are no others.
Yeah, but you have other things in here you're granting, the Freeport
Oh, yes.
license and then the
Freeport warehouse and waiver of the building.
and waiver of the building.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Is there anything else?
That's it.
And
Thank
the
you.
Board of Attorneys review.
The board attorney's review. All right. Thank you very much. We'll continue moving forward. The printed agenda with Ms. Davis.
Yes, next item would be from Mr. Ray Bryant, EMS coordinator regarding ceasefire renewal contract.
Good afternoon, President Graham and board members. If I could just go back a little history. 2 years ago, you had the administrator's office to do a cell phone study on charges and so forth. We did AT&T, we did Cellular South, Verizon, and some others. And y'all chose to go with Cellular South. Since then, they have changed their name to Ceasefire. And the 2-year contract that we were under the state contract expired January 13, 2012. And we have 7 accounts with them through different departments. The Sheriff's Department has one. The Administration Department has one. There's 33 lines on that account. The Supervisors has 7 lines. Henry Young, a juvenile detention center, has 6 lines. They have 2 accounts. Public Works has 22 lines, and the OC has 9 lines. What this is to come before you, and I'm going to deal with just 6 accounts now, pulling the sheriff's out, and I'll explain in just a few minutes. This is up for renewal for 2 years, and I like to see, because nothing's changing, the pricing is still the same. It's $39.99 unlimited call and voice, and it's $59.99 for unlimited texting, unlimited voice, unlimited data. So on these lines, these 6 accounts, I wanted to seek and see if y'all want to approve this with the advice of the attorney reviewing this. I have checked with most of the departments, the Public Works, Mr. Carl Friedrich, said they're satisfied with the service. And all the departments that these fall under, even DOC, has shared with me that they're satisfied. They have had no big problems. I have not heard any big complaints from y'all like I have before the 2 years. And so I'm just asking what direction you want to take. This is up to renewal under a state contract. And it will come with an upgrade of phones for each department. This is even free phones. The phones that's there now, they can provide free phones to upgrade because technology changes.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we renew our contract with C-Spire.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion?
Question.
Mr. Stokes and then Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
you mentioned all the different companies. Again, mention those. Give us the company's name.
Okay, it's done on this one 2 years ago through the administrator's office. It was asked that we do a study on the pricing. We did AT&T, Verizon, Stellar South, who is C-Spine today, and there was 2 more. Then we did the pricing, and Stellar South, C-Spine, was the cheapest one because some of them had overages, some of them had others. This come in as a one price per line on unlimited calls with no overages or anything.
This is who you feel comfortable with?
Yes, sir.
Can you talk to the company, make sure we have problems? You can get them to do what needs to be done?
Yes, sir. They respond very quickly when I call. There's 2 representatives sitting here. One of them is the government agency, John Casey, in the yellow shirt at West Riley.
Okay, so this is your recommendation?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
You said there were 7 phones with the board of supervisors. The other 2 phones, Ms. Davis's and Ms. Martin's?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all under the supervisor's account.
I also think this would be an opportune time to review the list of employees that have access to that have cell phones. There's some people who possibly feel that should not have cell phones.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve renewing with C-Spire for a 2-year period with no change and including an upgrade to phones. This is under state contract.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Davis, continue.
I'm sorry, I have one more. I have the sheriff's account, which is 6790. And since we have a new administration there, it's been requested that the sheriff and his attorney look over the contract also. But y'all can, I don't know if y'all want to pass for them to go with it. If the sheriff and the attorney, their attorney, is okay with it, then go with it. Mr. Pete Luke's here. I'll call on him since we have a new administration at the Sheriff's Department.
I would just recommend that we ride the coattail as we have in the past, subject to the sheriff's approval and the sheriff's attorney's approval.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. Discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Now, let me make sure I'm understanding. Mr. Dukes, you were saying that you represent the sheriff's department, and that, 67 lines, Mr. Brand?
67.
67 lines.
67.
So you want to make sure his attorney look at, what, the contract? Is it the contract? Overall contract. Did our legal department look at the contract?
Our attorney should have a copy of it.
Right, I have a copy. The terms of the contract are consistent with the state contract.
So,
And so it's really nothing to negotiate.
it's the same with the sheriff's department, so the same contract, right?
It will be the exact same contract.
Same service.
Same service, same everything.
So we're going to reinvent the wheel? What?
I can't answer that.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Well,
Any additional questions? Any additional comments? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Would the clerk please read the orders?
It'll be the same, except it'll just say for the sheriff's office, subject to sheriff Lewis's approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Continue, Mrs. Davis.
Yes, thank you. Next on the agenda would be from Mr. Jeremy Porter, Director of Planning and Zoning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And board supervisors.
Okay.
It must have been really interesting. You didn't know whether it was still going to do.
That's a preacher there. Don't let that preacher.
We're coming before you this morning with a case number R170, Sailor South, Real Estate Incorporated. The petitioner is requesting a conditional use permit for wireless communication tower on agriculturally zoned property consisting of 1,000 of an acre located on the north side and west side of Anderson Road between Goat Hill Road and Askew Road in District 2. This was presented to the Planning Commission and they did pass it by a vote of 5 yes and 3 were absent from that particular meeting. No public opposition.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. It's been moved and properly second. Discussion?
Yes, I would like to ask.
Ms. Calhoun?
In the past, we have been encouraging wireless communications businesses to look at some of our sites. Are we still doing this?
Yes, we are. And this particular location is an extreme north west Hinds County and just limited service out there, and they're trying to cover their zoning area.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve petitioner's request for a conditional use permit for a wireless communication tower on agricultural zone property. The property consists of 9 1,000ths of an acre located on the north side of the west side of Anderson Road between Goat Hill Road and Askew Road in District 2. The Planning Commission granted this petition by a vote of 5 ayes with 3 members absent. There was no public opposition.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. There are no personnel matters to the board. The next item will be from Mr. Clarence Williams, Director of Human and Capital Development.
Mr. Williams, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, other members of the board. I have 6 items for your consideration. The first is to request is prepared to submit a grant application on behalf of the Sheriff's Department to the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance for the protection of public health, safety, and the economy from counterfeit goods and product piracy under Intellectual Property Theft Enforcement Program, Code of Domestic Federal Assistance number 16.752. The funding opportunity number is BJA 2012-3119. This grant has a $200,000 ceiling and does not require a match. The application will be made for record management system technology.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion? All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
It's going to be resolved to approve applying for a grant on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, and then all the rest of this that's in dialogue. So I don't have to reread it for you.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Mr. Stokes?
thank you. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Now, we just put in an application for these grants.
Yes, sir.
And it might be a lawsuit. I haven't seen it. And I'm trying to research it. Why do you have to come before the board just to do the application? You haven't received it. It seems like if you're the grant department, you should be putting grants everywhere. Is there some kind of law somewhere to see you have to come before the board before you put on a grant, an application?
Well, when I started working, I was instructed that we have to present any application before the board before applying.
Correct.
I'm talking about, where's that written? It's got to be written somewhere.
It's a part of the board's policy, and the reason we request the director to come before us is because some of these grant applications, if we want it, we have to provide a match and the board must make the determination whether or not we have available funds for that match. Usually, a lot of the grant applications consist of 80-20% match, and anything, even if we're in favor of providing the match, anything that will affect the general fund's budget, then our employees must come before the board to make those requests.
Where's that policy? We're going to go back to my question. Could I get a copy? I asked for all rules.